Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So something a little minor in this video, just something I've noticed. Obviously this weekend we have a very intriguing fight between Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. Of course, this fight is on pay-per-view in America. I believe it's on Showtime. A lot of people are looking forward to this. Two unbeaten guys, unbeaten punchers, and arguably two of the most hyped guys in the sport of boxing. And both guys have relatively big fan bases. And you know, the ingredients are there for this to be a really good fight. One factor in which nobody's really talking about leading up to this fight, and by the way, I probably will do a prediction video once I get around to it. I've only got a few days left, so I'll do my best. But one factor that nobody's really talking about in regards to this fight is the weight. Now, of course, this fight is going down at 136 pounds catch weight. Tank Davis primarily fights at 135, so you would imagine that isn't really going to affect him whatsoever. However, Ryan Garcia in his last couple of fights has fought at 140, super lightweight, and of course he did that because 135, you would imagine, was getting harder to make. You know, he's a growing guy, he's still young, he's getting bigger. You know, 140 was the next logical step, so he'll have to boil down to 136 for this fight. And of course that could be a detrimental factor for Ryan Garcia in this bout. I've not really heard many people talk about it, but it could be a factor. At the end of the day, fighters and their teams, they implement catch weights, but in particular rehydration clauses, to get an advantage on their opponents. Sometimes catch weights do make sense occasionally, but very rare. Rehydration clauses are there purely to weaken an opponent. It just is that simple. Any other opinion is wrong. And there's a rehydration clause in this fight, and interestingly, Gervonta Davis was quizzed on this on a podcast appearance. He went on a podcast called All of Us Smoke, which sounds terrible, by the way, corporate, vapid, uninspiring. I can tell without even watching it. But he went on that podcast and he was asked about the rehydration clause, and Tank Davis responded with the following: I mean, it's just making sure everything's fair. You know what I mean? I know that he's a bigger fighter. He already has the advantage of height, size, arm length, like everything. He has most of the advantages. So I'm just making it a little fair. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's not like he's got to go to a second weigh-in, and I don't have to go. We both have to go. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure what Tank is referring to in regards to the last sentence. Deciphering what Tank Davis says is as hard as translating Egyptian hieroglyphics, you know? But, you know, in this interview, in this podcast, he admits that there is a rehydration clause slapped on Ryan Garcia. And in his explanation was to make things fairer. Well, really this undermines his fight against Mario Barrios, a guy who is bigger than Ryan Garcia. He's taller than Ryan Garcia. I'm pretty certain he's longer than Ryan Garcia. Yet there was no clause for Mario Barrios, the bigger man. In fact, Gervonta Davis confirmed as much, that there was no limit on Mario Barrios. So the fact that Tank has implemented these measures against Ryan Garcia, first and foremost, it makes people like me who were writing off a win against Mario Barrios. You know, Mario Barrios being a fake champion, regular champion at the time, did next to nothing in his career, wasn't a threat, wasn't that great, wasn't top 10 at super lightweight at the time. He was a cherry pick. And even that fight itself, if you watched that fight, I mean, certain aspects of that fight were very fishy. So those of you who are out there who praised that win as something special, as a really good win for Tank, he beat a bigger guy, this, that and the other, Well, Tank's just admitted that basically it was a cherry pick because he felt comfortable enough not implementing these clauses on Mario Barrios because he was, let's be real, a C-level fighter, fringe contender, nothing special. He sees the risk in Ryan Garcia. He sees the speed, he sees the power, the timing, and the size, don't get it twisted, and the size, so he's trying to take something away from Ryan Garcia. Tank Davis isn't as confident as his fans make out, his fanboys make out, and he knows this fight is a real risk, hence why he is trying to deplete Ryan Garcia. And it's interesting as well, all of a sudden, I see this all the time, when these rehydration clauses happen to a fighter that they like or dislike, fans' reactions are totally different. So for example, when I criticise Canelo Alvarez for doing such things in regards to his fights, so many people come at me saying, oh, you hate Canelo, you're just finding any reason to discredit him. My stance on rehydration clauses has always been the same. They should be outlawed from boxing. And now I see certain Canelo defenders making a big deal of these weight stipulations for Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. Now it matters to these guys. Now it matters. And it's the same with Tank fans. They will use the rehydration clauses, weight stipulations to criticise Canelo. Now Tank is doing it. Oh, you're looking for excuses for Ryan Garcia. All that stuff. It's this whole. If you've paid attention, it's exposed a lot of people. But I guess when you're a dick rider, rationale goes out the window. It's like getting with a chick, right? And you just hit it right every single time you hit it right. When you're in that position, she's going to put up with a lot more than she probably usually would, you know? If you wasn't hitting it right, she's not gonna give you as much leeway. And that's the same for fanboys, you know? Rationale goes out the window. They'll criticise one guy for one thing, but when their guy does the same thing, they won't say shit. These guys are basically, they move like little hussies, Jezebels. That's what most of these guys are on the YTBC, let's be real here. But I found it interesting. Tank basically undermining his own win against Mario Barrios, confirming what those of us with eyes already knew, that Barrios was no threat, he was a C-level scrub, wasn't there to win. Ryan Garcia is different. Despite not being as big as Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia has a dehydration clause slapped on him, as well as a catch weight as well. And yeah, that just goes to show that Tank knows that Ryan is a threat, and any advantage he can take, he will take. It is what it is. But anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.